All righty. So what's going on, Mr. Sweet? Jamie Sweet.
Hey, hey, hey. How's everybody today?
So, let everybody know who you are first before we get into this.
Well, I'm Jamie Sweet. I'm started the Shorty Bulls, I guess what I'm mostly known for here. But yeah, about 25 years ago, started the Shorty Bulls and just have gone full force with that. Before that I did a lot of American Bulldogs, Old English Bulldogs, and I've always had a creative creator side to me. That's what I enjoy the most. Judged around the world for many years. My son's a judge as well. Grew up in dogs, you know. So it's been my entire life. Dogs, dogs, dogs.
Okay. So, with that being said, let's get started. So, when did you come into the American Bully community, or did you ever come into the American Bully community?
Oh man, when I first heard about the American Bully community, I just heard ABKC. Okay, I didn't know what it was, and it was very very early on. And there was our friend Daniel Resendez told us about a show called Third Coast Bully Fest down in Texas. If anybody remembers how long ago that was, long time ago. So it was at the Kirby Reliance Center. So, I don't even think we had cell phones then. Well, we didn't. We borrowed my husband's bag phone to drive down there. We used an Atlas still. And we didn't know what it was. And I took Magic and Hef to that show, Little Shorty Bulls.
So, about what year was this?
I don't know, like maybe.
Yeah, you said
I don't know, 6 or 7, maybe 2006 or 7. I don't know. It was a long time ago. And anyway, I didn't know you had to have a booth. I didn't even know what a booth was. I didn't know it was going to be music and all that stuff. I thought we were going to be doing like AKC stuff. I thought it was like another leg of AKC. And I was so blown away and surprised because I'm from a little tiny town, a little country town in Kansas, okay? And we get to the city. We didn't plan for Dallas traffic, none of that stuff, because we hadn't been anywhere really. And she asked me when I got to the thing if I had a booth, and didn't know what a booth was. And she said it was $250. I didn't know if that was $2.50 or $250 because I hadn't done any of this stuff. But anyway, long story short, we went. I was hooked from the minute I got there. I loved it. I loved all the Hollywood stuff. I loved the music. I loved the people. I loved the poop scooping crew. I mean, I was hooked. I really was hooked. And it was like, it was just, there was just so much for me to see and do. And, people were looking at our dogs, and our dogs were, they jumped up on the table. We didn't have cards. We didn't have a banner. Didn't even know we needed a booth. So there we are with our dogs, and that's all we had. And the lady sitting next to us, we drove her crazy because they were jumping up and down off the tables. She said, "Are you going to be here all day?" So we weren't a hit with her. But anyway, it changed our whole lives and everything. It was really fun. And, it was weird for me to get my head wrapped around how the shows are judged and stuff, because it's been off for a long time. It's still far off. Okay. Yeah. When you come from a different world to this, it's real different. But, I still loved it anyway. And I still do. Yeah. I enjoy it. I think it's a lot more fun than a lot of the stuff out there.
So how long was your stay in the American Bully?
I didn't ever do American Bullies. Oh. I just went to the shows, but I never did American Bullies. I just always had my own stuff going on. So I never did. I had a lot of friends that did, and I'm very familiar with, a lot of them, but I didn't do them myself.
Oh, okay. So how did the Shorty Bull come about? Like, what made you, what inspired this, and how did it happen?
Well, I had, big American Bulldogs, and I had big oldies. They were big then. And we worked them a lot. We did protection work. We weight pulled. We did a lot of hiking. We did a lot of active things with them. And our dogs were fairly aggressive. There was no room for accidents, and they were, they were big, real dogs. And the reason I wanted to do the shorties was they were so big and I was getting older. And I just got hit in the knee one too many times, with the big dogs. And I've always had English bulldogs. My parents raised English bulldogs. There's only been like 1 year in my entire life that I didn't have an English bulldog. So I always liked those. So after I got hit in the knee, and I was pissed and tired of it, and I was like, I got to get something smaller. I'm done with these big dogs. I'm done. I mean, big dogs are kind of for when you're younger,
Yeah.
when you're full of fire and you feel like moving around all day and all that. And then you get older and you're like, I got to have something smaller. So I wanted my whole idea was I wanted something similar to the English, but I wanted it to keep up a little better, maybe. I wanted to be able to do some things. And I knew I'd have to change some stuff to get that accomplished. But yeah, and I didn't think when I started it that I thought I was just doing it for me, and as it progressed, I really liked it. And other people liked it. But I wanted to have like 20 grown adult dogs before it went to the public. And that didn't work. But it would have been different if it would have. So that's how it started, and I just started in the oldies, I did a lot of foundation breedings and creating. So I learned a lot there, made a lot of mistakes there. Like I wasn't just brand new, boom, went into shorties and it turned out like this. I'd already done so much before then that, yeah, I didn't have to make a lot of the same mistakes again.
So what exactly? So, okay. So now, so you got the bigger dogs, you want to get smaller. You've been going to the American Bully shows. So to create the Shorty Bull and like you said, you wanted something that with the English. So what inspired a mix, or what is the Shorty Bull mixed with for everybody?
Well, it's 3 breeds. It's the English, the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, and the French Bulldog, all for a different reason. So the English was my base because that's the breed that I really love, a lot. Their proportions are crazy. There's not another breed that's got a head like that on a body like that, and proportions pass on. And, there were so many things I liked about the English Bulldog. I just wanted to give it a little more life and a little more easier action. Okay, so the Staffordshire Bull Terrier, I had one of those that was just phenomenal. She was very healthy. She was the happiest dog ever, very strong, very durable. She was hard on herself, but she could heal up so quick. And I love that part of it. And so that was added for like health and longevity, because 7 years that's just a short lifespan for me. It's just too short for me because, it takes 3 years to get them grown. Then it takes another 2 years, to really be able to like leave them alone in the house or whatever you're going to do. Then you really know them. That's when you really enjoy them. So, I wanted more years that were good years, and so that's what I added to get that. And then the French Bulldog, I really don't like Frenchies that much. There's things I don't like about them, but I couldn't think of another breed that would keep it small and bully and keep some bone. If I went to anything else, I felt like I was losing too much, and so did the Frenchie for that reason. And then, just progressed from there.
So what were the negative things about all 3 of those breeds that may have concerned you bringing them together?
Well, at first I thought I was just going to put the definition on this bunchy muscle. Okay. So like breeding the pit bull to the English Bulldog, both those breeds been around a long time. The pit bull's a natural breed. I mean, to me, it's the ultimate athlete. It's the ultimate dog. It's, you can't hardly beat it. It can do so many things. The English Bulldog's man-made. We did that. And when you breed them, the English Bulldog traits are the first ones that wash away. Those pit traits are real strong. So I thought when I mixed them at first, oh dear. Okay, she's coming back. Come here a minute. Come on. Here, come here. I was talking too loud, wasn't I? Oh. So when I first mixed them, you gotta be good on this TV. So when I first mixed them, You know, you're not going to get an English bulldog from that. You're barely going to be able to tell there's an English bulldog in there.
Hey, and that's why I try to tell people these days when they be like, "Oh, that looks like an F1." I'm like, "Listen, man, if you
Yeah.
don't, you won't know. You don't know."
No. Those pit traits are super strong, you know. And there's things I love about that dog, but the look is not for me. The long snipiness, that's not for me. But I have a huge respect for those dogs, you know. There are things that I wanted, and I was just, you know, I was just trying to pick and choose, and I think I did pretty well, you know. But it took me some breedings, and I had to keep them and grow them up to find out, you know. But a pit English cross isn't going to do it. It's not going to even get close,
So
you know.
what were the first 3 breedings you did to bring to let's say we start in the Shorty Bull? What was the first 3 breedings you did?
Well, the first ones I did were English and Staffy,
Okay.
and you know, try different things like that. But then you have to do a lot of English to get rid of all the Staffy stuff you want to get rid of and keep what you want to keep. So that was where it was. I learned a lot of that in oldies, you know, and that was where it was. You just have to try it, you know. You have to try it. You got to look at it. You got to remember what it looks like. You got to grow it, you know. And it's really trial and error. And it doesn't matter how good you are. We can line it up and we can do all these tests and all that stuff, but you still got to do that breeding to find out what it's going to be. You
Okay.
still have to.
And then the next breeding, so the second breeding was what?
You know, I don't even really remember. I did a lot because I did a lot at the same time, you know, because to make something, you know, like one breeding at a time that is so slow for me, you know, and I like to have options. So, you know, back in the day, I often say, you know, if you're going to try to make a breed or whatever, you know, try to make a dent in something, what do you have, 200 years or 200 dogs? Really, that's about what it comes down to. Because if you're going to do something one at a time, you know, is just so slow, you know?
Got you.
Yeah. So, you know, if I would have started Shorty Bulls with more dogs, you know, if I did it again, I would start with like 100 adults in four places, you know.
So did you already know you wanted to incorporate the Shorty Bull? I mean, French Bulldog.
Well, I had to because I wanted it to stay small. So I gave myself, you know, I wrote the standard and stuff of what I was dreaming about, and you know, I had a pretty good idea, and I judged a lot and just done a lot, so I had a pretty good idea what I wanted to do. And so I gave myself the 15-inch was the top of the standard, 15 inches, but I never wanted 15 inches. I wanted 13, but I wanted a couple inches to play with, you know. Yeah, so that's what I did there. Now I've got them smaller, but I like a smaller, you know, I like a smaller dog, not a dainty dog or a fine bone or anything like that. Smaller, but still stocky, you know, still got heavy bone. Yeah.
So at what year did you decide, okay,
What year?
I want to establish the Shorty Bull as a breed?
You know, I could make up a date and tell you that. But honest to God, I don't even remember because we were so busy doing it. And we didn't know if it was going to catch. We didn't know anything like that. We were just doing our thing, you know, and we were able to do it. That time in my life was a great time to do it, you know. I had a lot of money to burn then, and then my kids were almost grown. And so, you know, it was a good time.
It was around the time the Brahma Bull was established, and I think that was established around 2000.
Oh, that was way after the Shorties. Yeah, that was quite a long time after the Shorties because Clint took my dogs when I was finishing nursing school, and that was in 2010 and 11. And he kept my dogs for that year so I could finish school. And it was after that.
So why not? Okay, so why not go with the Brahma Bull?
Me not go with the Brahma Bull. I was already doing Shorties. I was
Oh,
already, like I said, I was already established doing it. I
gotcha.
mean, yeah. And again, I like the bully. I'm not in love with the bullies. That's not really, you know, my type of dog. But the English bulldog was. So it was more my style to make this thing this little badass dog. And at
Okay.
that time, nobody really did that. I mean, that was kind of a novel thing to do then. It was, it wasn't like today. It wasn't
So
like everybody was, doing it and, wanted to be first and wanted to make a bloodline and wanted to do, they didn't have those kind of goals then, you know.
yeah,
I was
but
just trying to make a cool little dog at first.
coming in with the Shorty Bull around that time where it was about extreme, bigger heads, bigger this, bigger that, pit bulls. What type of slack did you catch for that? Because I know you had to
Oh
get
my God, a lot of slack, a lot. And I knew that I knew that was going to be my crowd and my place. I knew that. Because they're too little to be considered a real working dog, even though they'll do some of the work, they were never, I worked a lot of them and people get that confused, but it was all in fun and, their mouth doesn't open far enough to be a real working dog. So I knew that wasn't the place they were going to be a hit. And, I don't know. I just knew over here was going to hit. I knew I could just tell they would like this, so I thought, okay, I'll try it. But that was before pockets and everything, it was at the beginning. And yeah, we got a lot of flack in the beginning, but then again, we didn't, I mean, it was brilliant that they took us in the way they did, because I mean, that's a great idea. Give them a home. Oh, leave it. Oh, you can't touch that, babe. Give the breed a home and whatever, a place to, a place to be and show off and stuff. And so we did that, and then let's see, then Larry come out with, his little dogs, and Larry's wasn't too far from us. He was down in the other end of the state, so we saw Larry's dogs a lot when he had. Who do you have then? The little
and
little bitty dog.
for the people, when you say Larry, who are you speaking of?
Larry, you would have to ask me that. He had the little dogs, Success, Damu, the little Tri dog.
Got his last name too.
Oh gosh, thanks, babe. It just escaped me. There's so many people now, but everybody knew Larry. And hey, Sailor, can you hang on just a sec?
Okay.
Laughing stock. But I knew that I wanted to make the bully guys look, so I named Hef after Bo's Hef. I can't hear you now.
No, I said yeah.
Yeah. So I did that because I knew Bo would, he would have a fit, which he did. I stole his name.
Didn't he started breeding Brahmas for a minute too?
He did. That was later on, but he and Clint did that. Yeah, he had that English Bulldog Winston that was beautiful.
So why do you think the Shorty Bull, and this is I want to say all the way up until about 2015. Why do you think the Shorty Bull didn't blow up the way that, let's just say, like the exotics did when they came out?
I had an awful lot of rules, because I seriously was shooting to make this thing a breed by then. And I wanted it to be right, and I wanted it to be fair, and I wanted it to be built right first, before we just went hog wild. And, I mean, the bully world's a very destructive world without rules. It will fucking wreck everything without rules,
Yeah.
And I still look at the Shorty Bulls like my breed, and it is my breed. It was my brainchild. It was my work, I still work hard at this thing. And I feel very accountable. And let me tell you, if anything's wrong with the Shorty Bull anywhere, it's my fault. So yeah.
Well, that's a big statement to make. I mean, well, maybe if people are buying from you and
No, I'm
breeding.
not saying I want it to be that way. I'm just saying I'm gonna get blamed for all that stuff. Whether it's my fault or not, it's not my fault. But you
Okay.
know, when it goes wrong somewhere else, it's my fault, you know?
So, do you
So
think Shorty Bull played a part in establishing like the Brahma Bull and the exotic?
well, here's the difference. I still do. I want to approve or disprove the foundation breedings. Okay? Those guys thought, the cream will rise to the top. Okay, whatever. I don't believe that. I mean, has it? No. It's so all over the map, you know.
Do you allow exotics to be bred to the Shorty Bull on paperwork?
No, no. Shorty bulls are going to be shorty bulls the way that they always have been and were planned. I mean, there's no reason to add anything, and you can do all that. You can do all that over there in exotics, and you can have hybrids and all that stuff you want to do. You know, it's okay if people don't like shorty bulls, but in this, hey, hang on a minute. What are you guys doing? To make a breed and to really establish a breed, I mean, you have to have some rules, you know, and you have to have consistency. And it's a whole different thing, in a new breed than it is breeding an established breed.
About how many years do you think it took you before you was like, okay, this is it, I got it?
Well, it didn't take me long, but it did take me long, So the first time I got really excited is the litter of Magic and Half. Well, no, the one before that, which was Big Ben and Baby Yo. Okay, so I sent Big Ben to California. That was my, I sent stuff to California to my friends out there to get promoted, and it was just awesome. California was on fire then. It was wonderful.
Don't say it. We still on fire now. I think, there's a lot of bad things in California when it comes to the dogs, but I still feel that California is almost like the mecca.
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
breed.
Yeah, it did a lot of great things for a new breed, But I mean, in Kansas, that wasn't the place, And I knew I needed some younger people in a bigger place, and California was just wonderful. So I did that, and so I sent Ben out there, and he was a big hit.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They did a lot with him, and then Hef went out there.
Okay, so when you first get the breed and you start selling it, what was the going price when you first started selling the Shorty Bull?
When I first started doing it, I didn't call them Shorty Bulls. They were whatever sounded cute at that time. Adorables, teddy bear bulls, whatever, And they were just cross dogs mainly. And so at that time, that was about $800 we get for a puppy with no papers. And, oh, these children, no papers or anything. And then we sold them out of the newspaper, and everybody was happy. Nobody complained. Nobody called us back. No papers, no nothing. Great. $800. And then we just slowly went up. They were $2,500 for a long time, but it just went up as, the quality improved. I mean, you have to have some quality dogs. You got to do good business, and you got to stand behind your product. And, that was another thing in Shorty Bulls that, I always instilled that in my people, and that was different too. When the exotics came, man, it was just boom from the start. It was huge. It was chaos. But would you expect anything less? I mean, everybody was having fun then, and it was still different than it is today. But
Well,
how would everybody had to know exotics were coming? The breed was getting smaller and smaller and bullier and smaller. They had to know that was coming.
Well, see, I try to tell people, like, the reason I feel it blew up so fast is when you look at the American Bully. When it first came, it had so much hate from a lot of people, it blew it up fast. And now when the exotic come, now you got the American bully people, the pit bull people, and everybody else down.
Oh yeah.
So it took off like almost like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, yeah. It took off like crazy. I remember when they were naming it exotics. You saw some people liked it, some people didn't. Um, and everybody was just kind of standing by watching, like, what's going to be next? And then there was that Nationals in Jersey, and they couldn't come in, and then it was just on from there.
Yeah,
On.
that was
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I remember that. So
Mm.
at what point at what point did you look at a dog in the exotic community and be like, hold on, wait a minute. I think they
From
might have
jump, dude.
I think they
From
might have
jump.
Shorty
From
Bull.
jump. But here's the thing. You can't be mad at somebody when they use your breed to make another breed. That's what I did to make shorties. That's how every breed comes about.
Yeah.
You cannot, but I mean, does it piss you off? Yeah, it does. You're like, oh no, now what?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, a lot of shorties got used in that process. But my thing is this: you can use them to go that way, but let's not go backwards. You can use an English to make an oldie, but you're not making an English out of an oldie.
Yeah.
And it has to just move forward like that. Otherwise, we're just trashing the whole thing.
So what was the biggest issue that in your head with creating a Shorty Bull? What was the biggest issue that you had when you felt they were making the exotics with the Shorty Bull?
Oh, there was just so many more people. So many more people. So much more money. I mean, we couldn't compete with that. No way. I mean, it was just, it was out of the question.
So
And I had rules, and I was firm with those rules, and still am to this day, because it's just, I don't know if it's my sense of pride. I don't know what it is, but without rules, you lose stuff real fast,
And I think that's why the exotic really blew up, because when the Shorty Bulls were here, you had rules. The Brahma Bull came, Clint had rules. Ben Smith,
Mm-hmm.
they all had rules when it came to Brahma Bull. The exotic, it was just like, hey, go ahead.
Yeah, it was like that. And, I just don't think today maybe it's understood as like it should be. If you want to compete, then you need rules. If you don't want to compete and it's just for the experience and all that, I mean, that's fine. But then let's not say anybody's better than anybody else, because, it could be whoever wins that day. But I like to compete personally, but you're going to have rules for that. And that's what a standard is. When I've said a lot of times, like, why don't exotics have a standard? It's that standard.
They do. So the ABR and the USBR does have a standard for the exotic, but no one cares about it. No one cares.
Yeah, they do now. Yeah. But for a long time they didn't, and I went over to ABR, and I helped it get off the ground, whatever, and I helped them with it. But to really compete, you got to have some rules, The standard tells you what to bring to the ring. That's what it tells you. Everybody's worried about this perfect dog. There's no perfect dogs, okay, but there's a lot that are real close. There's a lot that are real close.
I think that's an excuse to produce bullshit.
And so I don't think it's a bad thing to have a standard and have something to shoot for and something to compete with, I mean, I like to compete. I love to compete. And I don't know if the times changed and competing is just, not the cool thing anymore, but.
Well, no, what it is the registries have been letting a lot of people down. So people are started throwing more fun shows. The problem with throwing fun shows are there's no rules. There's no standard to it. It's like you can have a high rear, but and slight easty westy feet, but be a beautiful dog. So it's like, yep, you win. And now this is what people breed to compete with: a table dog, a dog that doesn't have to move or doesn't have to do anything.
Well, when we don't have rules and we don't have a set, guideline of what it's supposed to be, then nobody's really wrong. Nobody's wrong because there's no rules, there's no nothing, and So I don't know. There's so many people involved now, and there's so many, if they don't like it, they're going to do their own thing. But in the end of stuff, if you really like your breed and you want to keep it your breed, you will have rules and you'll compete. And it takes more than one person to make a breed. It takes a whole community.
So what do you so
Yes,
what
you can.
so what do you think a quality short what does a quality shorty bull go for these days?
A quality Shorty Bull. Oh, about 55. That's a decent one. Um, and it varies up and down from there.
How many decent
Um,
bulls have you seen outside of your yard where you look at somebody's program and you're like, man, you're doing a great job?
well, I just got back from South Carolina, and I was at Wes's yard and Wes Lynch, and he does a great job. He's got a little male there that he's stunning. He's got more than one, but the one I'd say is just the ideal Shorty Bull. I mean, it'd be hard to pick anything apart on this little dog. His name's Rubble, you know. And Wes is kind of like me. We don't take the best pictures. We're not up to date on the technology, none of that. But seeing the dog in person, wow, he's something. But there's a few. There's not a lot of kennels. There's not a lot of kennels that are just doing really badass stuff. But there are a few.
Have
If
you
I
ever
get to naming names, then I get in trouble. So
have you ever Googled Shorty Bull and seen the bullshit that pops up?
I have seen the bullshit. I try not to Google it. There is so much straight garbage out. It blows my mind.
So when people send it to me, I'll be like, bro, that's not a Shorty Bull, bro.
I don't know how it got that way, but it is literally so bad. It's unbelievable. But yeah, I do that from time to time. It's terrible. But any breeds like that, there's so much misinformation out there now. Yeah, I can't imagine starting out in dogs right now and trying to get anywhere on your own. Just starting out, it would be hard because there's just BS all over the place.
Because back in the day, they had books published,
Hmm.
by people you could trust, and
Yeah, right. People
and
who
it's
had done things. And that's what's important. You got to have a resume and you have to have some productions. I don't care what you want to do in dogs. If you haven't bred dogs, your resume is not good enough then. You have to breed some dogs. You have to breed some dogs. That's how you learn dogs. You see good ones, you see bad ones, you see phenomenal ones, you see ones you have to put down. I mean, that's how you learn dogs. You got to see them all. You got to be around them all.
oh, so I know you're looking at the game right now, like, oh my God, what is going on? Because a lot of the popular people, damn near don't have litters on the ground. Sometimes you can walk into a show and the judge has never produced a dog or a champion or have done anything and telling people what to do. So I know, because I know when I look at it, I'll be like, man, sometimes I feel like I'm just
Well,
gonna
I
take.
mean, all you got to do is line up the stuff that's supposed to be hot. Does it look alike? No. That tells you right there we've got an issue because consistency is so important. You want it consistent. If you get it built like you like it, that's the next thing. You want more of that, right? Consistency is so important. It's more important than being first. It's more important than, having the biggest. I mean, you got to get it like you want it and be able to do that and recreate that.
Since the Shorty Bull has, or since the exotic, let me say that, since the exotic has a similar look
Mm-hmm.
to the Shorty Bull, do you think people would be better off crossbreeding with the Shorty Bull to make the exotic a healthier breed?
Well, I don't really know. I don't really know what, people really feel about that.
Your opinion. Okay, look, if you had to breed an exotic and you were going to start crossing again and you had to breed an exotic, would you take it to a Shorty Bull?
Oh, definitely. Yes, I would definitely. I know that breed. I know what I've done. I know what it's going to do. Oh, yeah. And I think I could do it pretty easily, and I'd like to give it a try. But I'm still so caught up in my Shorty Bulls. You know, I got my program where I want it now, and I've never had a program that I don't want to change anything on in my life, you know? And, you know, it's just little tweak things that you want to change. And those matter when you get the big things right, then the little things matter, then you get the little things right. And then you're having consistent litters, and it's a different place to be. I've never really been there. It's kind of a weird, boring place to be, kind
Yeah.
of, but it's a good place to be too, you know? But, you know, I would love to have time to try my hand at that, because I think I just think it'd be fun, you know? I think it'd be fun to see.
That's why I love breeding. I love breeding because it's like, oh, almost got it. Okay, that's the part I love about breeding. Like that,
Yeah,
I almost got it. And I've always told my friends, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do if I start producing every litter and I have it.
Hey, I'm telling you, don't do it. No, no, it's not near as fun. It really, if you got that creative spirit, it's you know, it's like boring. Like, I always like Rottweilers, but I think, you know, that would just get. I probably wouldn't like breeding Rottweilers because it'd be the same, you know. Even though they're not, it would be. But I don't know. I like to test myself. You know, like, give me any breed in the AKC, and I bet you I can make that sucker in 2 breedings or pretty close. You know, I just feel like that. You know, if I had unlimited resources, I say, okay, I need that dog, and that one right there in 2 years, and I'll see you back, and we'll see what we do. Yeah, I think I could. That's been the most fun to me. But I love being a breeder.
Do you think you could create a better exotic?
A better exotic. Well, you know, you guys all differ on what's better, so I don't know.
Look, function, and health.
Well, okay, I'm going to say this. Health is a wonderful thing, okay? But the bullier you get the dog, you compromise some of the health things, okay? You just can't get around that. Believe me, I've tried to, and you can't. You've got limits. You have boundaries. So if you want it to run and stuff, then you got to change up what you're doing. If you want it to live to be 7, 8, 9 years old, you got to, you know, the chest and stuff's going to have to be a little different, because the deeper the chest, the shorter the lifespan. You know, just things like that. You can't really get around those. You might here and there, but it'll be a fluky thing.
See, I've definitely never heard that before. Can you elaborate a little more on the deeper the chest, the shorter the lifespan?
Well, I don't know if it's a wives' tale or what, but like, you know, the bigger breeds, and they have the deep chest, you know, they have a shorter lifespan. The little terriers, the little rat terriers, the tiny little things, they live to be 16 easy. Great Danes, 7 years old, you know. English bulldogs, in reality, you know, they don't live, and their chest about drags the ground, you know. And, you know, so it's, you know, you have to look at all those things. And then, I mean, how healthy can you really get it? Of course, we want to see health, but then we have to give up some of the looks. And then what's the dog's job anyway? Really, we like to look at them, right? That's what we like.
And that's what I try to tell people, even when it comes to exotics. Like, you have to understand what you have. So when I hear somebody say, oh, this is a dog, no, it's not. You know, you have to understand, like, that's why you'll never hear me say, oh, my dog is healthy. No, he's healthy for an exotic. He's healthy for an exotic.
Right. There you go. Yeah. I mean, and that's really the way it is. And, you know, I like that look. I like certain things about him that if I couldn't have that stuff, then I probably wouldn't have a dog. I'd probably do something else, you know. I don't want to get an Irish setter when I like bulldogs. It won't be the same feeling for me. It won't, you know. And if people get a dog they like, then they tend to keep it. They tend to take care of it, you know, if they like it.
So what are some of the type of things with the Shorty Bull, you know, even in comparison to the exotic? Because like you said, when you try to go for that shorter, girthier dog, you compromise health.
Well,
what are these things?
I said we'd probably meet in the middle. When the exotic, some people are trying to clean those up a little bit, you know. And for the longest time, I was trying to get this frame right before we made it all kinds of bully. because I know that bully, it has its effects. So I wasn't ready to do that. Now I think I've got him as bully as I want to even try to be, but I thought we'd meet in the middle and have, pretty similar dogs. But there's certain things that they're never going to be alike on. I mean, like the face, you can tell when it's exotic expression, and you can tell it's different from Shorty Bull expression. I mean, you can tell. There's things you can tell. Now, a lot of people can't tell they think that's just Frenchies with the ears cropped, which that
Well,
is so off. But
a lot of the newer breeders are Google breeders. That's why.
yes, and yeah. And you only know, what you know from what you've seen or whatever. So there are similarities, but, not as many as they think. But I think, I thought we'll meet in the middle. And that all depends on, how tight people breed to the standard. The face of the exotic is completely different than the Shorty Bull. The bodies maybe, but, you guys want those bows. We don't want the bows. We don't want them to come straight down. We don't want knots on them there. We want the elbows to point straight back. We don't want them to be out to the side.
So
I think the Shorty will always be more functional.
So the Shorty, a little more wider, deeper chest, but H-frame.
I think their faces will be different. Their top line's definitely 1000% going to be different, because I've got that stuff dialed in. I've harped on that since the beginning. We don't want to, we don't want a high rear. We don't want a dipping shoulder. We want the hump on the neck, not as exaggerated as exotics, but, we want that. And then we want the top line from there.
What about feet? Because, a lot of the exotics have a lot of splayed feet. So what about the feet with the Shorty?
The feet on the Shorty Bulls are pretty good. I focused on feet right off jump, because that's a killer for me. I mean, if there's anything I hate, it's to see a really nice dog, nice head, and then you get to the feet and they're terrible. I mean, that just ruins the whole dog for me. So I was strict about that. But, the exotics kind of tend to follow along just how the breeders always have been over there. They're focused on the head and forget to look at anything else for a minute. But, to build it to...
I got to disagree with you on that one. And this is why. And this is the only reason why. The exotic breeders, and from my opinion, I've seen so many dogs with raggedy ass heads, and they be like, "Bro, that's fire," because it got a hold up in the front, but the dog got easty westy feet. So I feel the exotic community focuses more on the fronts,
Okay, yeah, you're probably right. They do focus more on that. I was kind of thinking like the bullies back in the day when they first came out, man. They were just judged by their head. Then there was two dogs with nice heads, and they looked at the feet. Then I swear that's how it happened. And so that's why I said, you got to look at the whole thing. But just looking at the whole dog as a total package, I think a lot of people need to get more accustomed to that, because it is about the total package. And if we ever start seriously competing, you're going to want the total package, because then things aren't going to be as okay as they are now. It's a fire head, but those feet, I mean, feet are seriously important.
So when did you establish the registry for the Shorty Bulls?
Oh, right away. I had that right away. I had the standard right away, because I was already used to all that. So, when I was drawing this little dog on the napkins and stuff, I was already in my head, deciding what that was going to be.
Does the Shorty Bull registry accept any other breeds?
Yeah, we do accept other breeds as their respective breeds. We've got oldies, and it's all on the website. I try to stay as far away from that as possible, because I don't like to do any kind of registration of any kind. But yeah, it's all on there. But I know we have oldies, and there's some other things. There's some other new breeds coming that people have been working on, that they are ready for a registry. So I'm excited about that. But
somebody did decide to mix the Shorty Bull on paper with the exotic. would that be something that your registry would accept as far as a process of creating a different breed, or would you even consider that to be a different breed?
It would definitely be a different breed from Shorty Bulls. I'm adamant on that, out of respect for my own work and out of respect for the people who are still doing this. We still want to stick to the plan. We're not about, trends, and we're not getting Merle. No Merle Shorty Bulls until I'm dead, and then you guys can do whatever you want. But until then, no
Well,
Merle. It's not that I hate Merle.
If you put it in your trust or a wheel,
Yes, that I ain't worried about the money, man. That Merle Shorty Bull shit's gonna go in there.
It'll never change if it's there, it could never change.
No, but this is what people don't understand. I'm not a Merle hater. Okay, I got a Merle dog myself. But in a standard, there has to be some things that are not, and that's one of them. So if you see a Merle one, not a Shorty, it must be something else. There's your first clue.
You say you got a Merle dog, right? Tell me.
I do have a Merle dog.
Is it a Merle Shorty?
Hell no, it ain't a Merle Shorty. It's a badass Merle English.
But as a creator of your own breed, you never tried to put the Merle on a Shorty?
Why do you got to take me down this road? Damn well. No Merle in the Shorty. Listen, we do not need Merle in the Shorty. We don't need it. We gotta breed it, like it is. We gotta breed good ones right now with the basics. Okay, that's what we gotta do. And when everybody starts doing that, we still ain't having Merle. But there's plenty of Merle out there everywhere else. Go get you. There's more money in Merle somewhere else. There's a lot more options. Just go get your Merle.
So what do you feel? What do you feel the negative is about the Merle?
Well, the one thing that scares me is people scare me with breeding dogs anyway. Now we're going to have Merles. That can be lethal. I don't think we're ready for that. And personally, I'm not a fan of the splattering, and it's not original bulldog colors. And I'm just trying to have, some things that are solid, just like it used to be. There was all kinds of breeds that couldn't be this, they couldn't be that. That was designed to keep breeds. That wasn't like nobody was hating on anything. It's just like, okay, this is what it is. So it can't be all the rest of that stuff.
Okay, I jumped over the question I asked you. I'm sorry about that. So the Shorty Bull being bred to an exotic.
Oh, okay.
Would your registry accept the creation of that being a new breed?
A new breed with a different name.
Yes, correct.
Well, if whoever it was that called me about that and really sold this idea to me, it would all depend on that, something, I can relate to that, but it's got to be about a plan, and some thought put into it. Past, I'm going to be first. Past, I'm going to make $1 million on this first litter. I mean, if you have some goals past that, I'd love to listen to it,
How long do you think it takes? Or how many generations do you think it takes?
Well, that depends on how many dogs you're starting with and what the quality is and what you can't say 7 years, 7 generations, it's a breed. I mean, if I breed 7 generations and you and somebody that started yesterday, we're not going to have similar dogs probably. So you can't honestly say it takes this long. It takes as long as it takes until you can, have dogs that look like the standard consistently. So if you want to build a breed, it's more than 2 dogs in your backyard. So, that's not going to get you there.
So as a
that
breed,
could be a nice addition, but it's not going to build a breed.
If you had to start all over to create a breed, similar to the exotic American Bully Shorty Bull.
No, I would never do this again, ever. I would never do this again. Never. I would go, I don't know what I do, but not this. It's been.
How long do you think it would take you? Now with all of your knowledge.
Now with all my knowledge. Well, with all my knowledge, I'd still need about 6 kennels with unlimited resources who want to do this just as bad as me, which, the chances of that are 0. If you did have a group, I really think a group under the direction of maybe one person making the decisions, because that all sounds good in the beginning. Then halfway in, somebody changes something. But it'd have to be experienced people that know, okay, we've got to commit to this. Commit to this. This is the goal. This is the plan. We're going to have updates ever so often. You got to stay on top of that stuff. And you got to understand it pretty close to the same way. I don't think it would take long at all. With 100 dogs, oh man, I could do something in a year. I could do something in a year. I really believe that. A good solid start anyway.
Yeah. Like you said, unlimited resources, several kennels, about 100
Well,
dogs.
if 4 kennels had 25 adults, you couldn't do something with that. You better quit. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. But I mean, it's not unheard of, It's not unheard of. It would just be a project different than just one person doing it. But, a team be ideal.
And what about, okay, let me ask this question first, because that one is kind of controversial. So let me ask this one first.
Okay.
What do you think separates the Shorty Bull, besides what was put in it? Because these other breeds, and even including the Brahma and the exotic, we don't really know what's going on in these dogs.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think separates the Shorty Bull from this look when these same dogs are present in those breeds too?
So you mean what makes the Shorty look different?
Yeah, in your opinion as the creator, what do you think that separates?
Well, it's going to look very similar because we are using similar breeds and sometimes even the same breed. Okay, but we don't have any bully in ours. We have no bully in the Shorty Bull. And that's a big difference.
Okay.
But we do have English Bulldogs and we do have French Bulldogs. So, we will see similar things, but sometimes it's about seeing the little differences, I mean, do they look similar? Sure. You could say that about all of them. They're all short, blah, blah, blah. But, and I'm going to say this too. Sometimes you can't see the differences because you haven't done dogs long enough. I mean, it takes a while to train your eye to see that stuff.
Oh, like I told people, I didn't realize how to mix dogs until I jumped in the Brahma community. I thought I what was in dogs and what was this, and then I see Brahma bulls that could step in the American bully ring and champ out. I'm like, oh no, what's going on here?
Yeah, see, I was never. I came from a different world, where a fat Doberman was never a Rottweiler, and a skinny Rottweiler never made a Doberman. I mean, we never, and that to me is unheard of, to switch around. Like, you can't be one thing one day and then next week no. Once you are going to show as this, I think you should be locked in for life. You're not changing breeds. You can't. It's dumb. It's stupid. And it's not even. That doesn't even work.
So how do you feel about? So this is why I say registries. I personally feel registries ruins breeds, and it's been a proven fact. And I'm not saying all. I'm not saying all, but it has been a proven fact in some of the biggest registries that they have ruined a lot of breeds of dogs. So, in my opinion, how do you feel about registries adding extra classes to breeds for financial gain?
Well, I don't think it helps our breeds. And I don't think, that people who are like, let's look at the AKC. Okay, so I don't think the people doing well in the Chows or the Akitas or whatever, they're not going to really care too much about the upcoming new breeds that are setting in the FSS right now until they're breeds, the judges are so important. And I think that's where we fall short, is the judges are so important, and you have to live a lot of dogs before you're a judge. You have to have your glory days. You have to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. You've had to see dogs live and die before you understand how important your job as a judge is. I believe that's why we need points and stuff to keep our breeds in check. Do we need shows? Yeah, we need shows. We need shows for our breeds and to get them out there, you know, and to meet the people behind them and push them that way. But the judges are the only ones that can put the points on the dogs to make the champions. So the judges are the only ones. But
now you just have to have a social media following to be a judge.
Oh yeah. But I mean, registries have to, you know, what's important to them. That's the question. What's important to them? You know, is it important to hang on to these, you know, popular people? Is it important to take in the new popular people, or is it important to, you know, promote a nice dog that is the ideal, you know, for the way you want the breed to be moved on to in the future? You know, it's about the future. But
so this is a good one for you. As a registry owner, a creator of a breed, this has to be a good one.
Oh dear.
Do you feel that the fun shows are ruining the breed too?
You know what? I just judged a fun show, okay? And I used to think fun shows were just not cool, okay? Went to a couple. I don't know how to put it into words. If you've never been to a fun show, go to a good one. Just go to a good one before you make any assumptions. That's all I'm going to say there. But go to some other shows too, and then compare. Okay, because I don't think it's far off. I think we got some screwy judges over there making goofy calls. And I think over here, it's not that far off on some of the other stuff. I think the world changed in the last 10 years. And we can't compete with no rules, okay? We can't compete with no rules. But if we get rules and really compete, do we have the dogs that, you know, are going to be up there? Are we just telling everybody they got a nice dog so they come back? But they really don't have a nice dog.
No, they're letting dogs show that's not even in that class.
Yeah, so we have, you know, I don't know if it's nobody knew what they were doing or nobody cared what they were doing. I don't know what the thing is, but we screwed up both kinds of, one's not better than the other. And that's still to be proven to me, because we still don't have, you know, judges that can explain everything to you. Do the champs and the grand champions, is it always a consistent? I mean, it's all over the map. And so I think I don't know which one's better, but hey, I went to the fun shows and I can tell you this, it's different. It's different than the other show, but I don't know. It seemed like a lot more fun, you know?
Well, I think it's a lot more fun, but see, in my opinion,
but it doesn't promote the same thing, you know?
But see, and I think that's what messes up the breed a little, because some things that are accepted in the fun show are not accepted in the ring. And you have some people just want to kind of be popular. So I can come in here with a dog with a high rear, slightly easty-westy feet, but he has a nice chest and he has good color and he's beautiful. So
yeah, that's the strange thing. But I mean, do people want to? I mean, do they care about that? Is it time that we make some other way to show these dogs off? Is it just about showing your dog off? I mean, I've often thought, like, you know how many choke chains are on wrong? I mean, that's simple, basic stuff. If you don't want to read and you don't want to know enough to learn that, I mean, you're not really competing. You're just messing around, you know? So I think we have to take that into consideration too. Like, what's everybody want? But we don't know because we don't have real statistics anywhere, you know?
Yeah, and we don't, and we really don't even have a point system. Like, we have the judges getting in the ring, just looking at the dog. And for me, I'm like, look, bro, we should have a point card. It's something.
You mean a value system to all the faults and flaws? So every dog, I know, I've made the confirmation assessment tool. Okay. That's exactly what it is. It tells the faults, it tells the virtues, and how much they count, you know, because you don't like the ears on a dog. It can't count more than a physical fault. It's an ear set, you know? Yeah, it counts. It doesn't count more than twisted up legs, you know, and that's where we got to get back to the value system.
Twisted up legs, not even feet, huh?
Twisted up legs, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's getting bad out here.
Yeah, but you know, it's an honor and a privilege to be a judge. I wish that was taken more seriously. You don't really have that much preference when you're a judge. You know, the standard is the laws that we should go by. Whether you like it or not doesn't matter. You should know dogs well enough that your preference can be, you know, set aside so you can judge what you're judging properly. You know, but I almost think those days are gone. You know, that's why I don't put a whole lot in the shows anymore. I'm not going to subject my dogs to the shows. I just don't feel it's right, you know, because you get judged kind of on who you are, you know. I mean, I'll get judged more severely if my dog has a hangnail than the new guy with the cowhawk shit. I mean, because I should know better and they're new. I mean, that's an example of how it is. Or, you know, this guy's popular and this guy's not. And I mean, it's done its damage, you know. Where we go from here, I don't know.
Do you think it can ever be fixed?
Do I think it could ever be what?
Fixed.
I think there's one way to fix it, and I don't know if it could be or not, but people are going to have to commit to fixing it for some time. You know, it takes 3 years about to do anything for something to catch on, you know, to grow a dog, to get known. 3 years. I don't know if anybody could commit to doing 3 years and, you know, really doing it honestly. I don't know. I would love to see that happen just because I always believe that could happen. A lot of people tell me I'm full of it for even thinking that could happen. But the right people doing it, I think it could. But it has to be the right people, you know. It has to be people that have done enough, that they have a voice, that they have some sort of respect in the dog community. It can't just be some brand new person that nobody knows. That's not going to work, you know. But we got to get back to, it's not just a dog eat dog world, you know. We all got to be together in this to protect our rights as breeders. It's a luxury to be able to breed dogs. You know, it's a luxury, and that's no shit. We got to be together on some things, or that is going to be something we used to have. I really feel like that's coming.
So how do you feel as being a creator of the Shorty Bull, outside of your own yard, do you feel that the Shorty Bull is progressing?
Well, like any breed, in some yards, yes, it is. In some yards, compared to where they started to where they are now, it's progression, but it's not like, you know, up to everybody's progression yet. But I feel like we lost breeders, you know, to the exotics. We did. The young men that, you know, I feel like young guys really are important to a breed because they're just, you know, all over the place, moving, shaking, doing this, doing that, talking, you know, all that. I feel like a lot of our guys went to exotics because there was, you know, more money, more excitement. Yeah, I mean, I can't blame them, but I miss that because, you know, if you have a bunch of bashful people, the breed doesn't move like when you have a bunch of outgoing people, you know. I'm kind of concerned because I'm getting old. I'm not going to do this forever. My kids don't want to do it. I mean, I don't blame them. They don't want to do it, but, you know, I kind of wonder what will happen to it. I mean, I really don't know what will happen to it, but, you know, I hope somebody steps up and wants to, you know, take that on. It'd be a shame to stop now, you know.
You haven't thought about partnering with anybody for the longevity of the Shorty Bull?
Well, I mean, I have, but I'm so used to doing it myself. I mean, and I'm a control freak about that.
Yeah.
And, you know, too many times when I've needed semen or something, it's from somebody else. It's not going to come through like when you have it right here. You know, if my program, I don't know that there's still a lot of programs out there like mine, but like I have my 4 legs of the kennel that have their own lines of dogs. Like Ted has six sons that are all of my kennel out of different bitches. Does anybody do that anymore? Does anybody have 5 generations at their place? I don't know, but I feel like if you're not doing that, it is a different end result. You know, I make all the decisions. I choose the breedings. I pick the keepers. I feed them, raise them, all the same, evaluate them the same, and my goal doesn't change. I want it to be the Shorty Bull standard, and I want it to be consistent, and I want to get it so consistent that from across the yard, I might get two dogs mixed up because they look so similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think when you have partners, I mean, God bless everybody that has a good partner. You're a lucky, fortunate person, but it's hard to find another partner that's on your level in dogs, has been through the same similar things that, on the same experience level. Because how many times in dogs do you think something's going to work great when you haven't done dogs so long? You think, oh, this is going to be great.
Doing dogs so long, because how many times have you thought something was going to work out great doing dogs this long and it just didn't?
Doesn't. Yeah, a lot. Yeah. And I know when people are starting and they think, oh, it's going to be like this, and then it's not. A lot of them are devastated and they're done, and it wrecked them, and they lost their ass, and their hearts broke. And man, I mean,
you have people in the exotic community. It's like, hey, I'm going to go spend $30,000 on a dog from Crown, and then I'm going to turn around and go spend $50,000 on a dog from Sensei, and I'm going to breed them together.
Yeah, it gets really crazy, and it's hard to relate to that until you've done things like that. So it's hard to find a partner that, can do it. And then when it's a young person, life gets in the way. Oh God, I got to quit. We're having another baby. Oh, I got to quit. My wife left. Oh, I got to quit. Who knows what it's going to be, but life gets in the way a lot. And then there you are. Like, you did all that for nothing. Now you're back at square one when you could just done it yourself. And I'm fortunate I had a big space. Kansas is a wonderful place to raise dogs. We're not in the middle of the city or anything like that. We know our vets. Our vets that still take call. We don't have to go to the emergency vet and plan every cesarean. I mean, there's a lot of things that, we don't have to do out here that help with a program, So, I mean, you have to have a relationship with your vet. I mean, can you imagine doing dogs with a vet you don't know? With these kind of dogs, I can't even imagine that.
See, I just moved from California to South Dakota, and
oh wow,
yeah, and I'm still trying to find somebody where I'm like that. I just have that vibe that I can trust, and it's difficult. It's difficult.
Oh yeah, I think that would probably be a big hindrance if you didn't have that, because we really need a vet that understands us as breeders and that also understands our breeds of dogs. We don't want to spay everything.
I mean, so far, like, my female might be pregnant now, and I'm like to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just drive to California, whoop the litter in California. And then
oh my God.
Yeah, because I can't find anyone here that.
I got a guy who could probably help you when this is over. He could probably help you find a couple good vets. But yeah, that's a problem. I mean, has anybody ever thought about this? Have you ever thought about going to the vet and saying, how many cesareans do you perform a year? Would they even know? But if they're going to tell you like 100, that's not anything. That's nothing. Yeah. That's nothing. So we don't think of those things until we've, been in this a while and had some issues or whatever. But it's getting harder and harder to do dogs on a large scale. And I think that's the way, that the world's going. Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of changes, and it's time that everybody's got to come together for their breed. Don't got to like each other or any of that, but we are going to have to come together for our breeds, I think, soon.
I mean, you want to know something? With that being something, that exact thing being something to fix everything, I just don't see it happening, because everybody,
no, I don't either.
Everybody wants to be number one. And then it's like when they feel they can't be number one, then they want to just create a whole nother breed, like the hairy dogs, the furless dogs.
I think that's about to be worn out. I mean, that's not new anymore. That's been going on now for over 20 years. And that's not new anymore. I mean, what can even be created now? It's exciting. It's not even new anymore,
Bro, they're calling white platinum now. I'm like, damn, okay. It's white.
I don't know. It's crazy, but I'd love to have real statistics. We don't have that. I would love to see for real, what it is. And we could gain so much information and knowledge from that alone. But, we're not going to get that.
So,
But, there's a whole nother dog world out there besides the bully world, believe it or not, and it's the people that have kennels and licenses and all that. And they know about the laws and, those things. And yeah, we're kind of on the outside of that, nobody talks about that stuff in this community, but, yeah, there's going to be some changes coming, I think,
So, how come there's been no other registries to accept the Shorty Bull?
Well, there's a lot of registries that accept the Shorty Bull, but they have to have the BBC registration as authenticity first before they take it. And I've met with the registries and we've agreed to that. And that's a protective measure for a breed, if,
so you have to register with the BBC and then dual register with. Yeah,
whatever you want to do. Then after that's up to you. But, to get the certificate of authenticity, since it started here, single register and everything is not the answer, I mean, that's not going to help a breed, and I don't think at the registry, are people really on top of that? I mean,
what if you were trying to start a new breed? Do you think that would be better?
What?
To single register the dogs that you're starting with?
If you're going to start a new breed, I think you have to have a group that's going to oversee it, and you have to have a plan. And if the plan's not followed through, I mean, are you even going to get to have a breed? I mean, then what's the point? I mean, it's a lot to make a breed. It's a lot. It's so much different than just breeding established dogs. But somebody has to guide the thing. I mean, why does nobody think?
All right, so the Shorty Bull has been around a minute, then here comes the Brahma, the exotic, we get it out there. At first there was really no value as far as the Shorty Bull. To me, it seems like it was meant to be a real breeder's breed. If you want to breed dogs, create good, healthy dogs, smaller, this is where we go. So now the Shorty Bull, it gets picked up. You drop the interview, you drop that live video. I forgot what year it dropped. I forgot what year it dropped. But when you did the interview and told the Shorty Bull story, do you think that did anything for the Shorty Bull as far as help or make it worse? Or
I think that you guys gotta be real quiet, okay? Because I'm on here. I think that there's a lot of assumptions that went with the Shorty Bull about that people didn't really know, when it first started, I hated the term designer dog, so that's when I ran the 12 miles and did all those tests and all that stuff that nobody gave a shit about. Then, I was proving that it was so much more, and I was really into that. And it goes to the breeds that I came off of. Temperament was super important, drive was super important. And then I found out it's not that important over here. Other things are important over here. Money and popularity and fame and status, and those things are important over here. And the dog had better look like a badass little dog. Well, I always thought it did with the cropped ears and stuff. But because of my background and my experience, that's why I was trying to prove the health and the durability, and that these were more than just a pretty face. They were, you could do almost anything with them, a little bit of about anything with them. And that was important to me. But, the main thing of it is it a cool looking dog that people like, that they would have and that they would keep? I mean, I like to see dogs have, one home. It's just, I like to see that. I like to see a dog that's so cool people keep it, for its life. Yeah. That's one of the things. But, I think the rules, were what what made it the exotic more attractive, and the money. This is all about the money. Everything's about the money. It's all about the money to everybody. Some people just can't say it yet, or they haven't kept track yet, but I don't know. There's more to it than that for
I
me.
think more than 3 dogs. It's definitely about the money.
Oh man, you're spending money. I'm telling you, you are spending money to do it. But yeah, I was, when it first started, I was pretty quiet, pretty bashful. I mean, really, no kidding. I didn't even have half the cuss word vocabulary that I do now before the bully world, before Shorty Bulls. I used to be a teacher. So, yeah, it kind of, yeah, I don't know. I had a little too much fun, and I've learned so much in this community. I was quiet. I thought there was so many universal things that were thought, and you come over to this community and it's complete different. It's a whole different world over here, so, that had an effect too. But I mean, who wants to go into something with a bunch of rules automatically, and I mean, and I stuck to them, and no was no, and no still no. And if you think I'm wrong for that, you can tell me how wrong I am after you do what I've done. You tell me after that, until you can do that and tell me, yeah, I'm just not hearing it because you didn't do it. It's a whole different thing.
All right. Yeah. Well, Jenny, thank you for coming on. I definitely appreciate it.
You bet.
And
you bet. And if I can help anybody with what you guys are doing or whatever, I'm happy to help. Give me a holler. I don't know everything by any means, but I do know a couple things pretty well.
For sure. All right, y'all make sure it's been a drop, man. So y'all make sure y'all check out Jamie Sleep's page. If y'all are thinking about getting into the Shorty Bull, go to the website, the BBC website, and check it out. But I appreciate you coming on, Jamie.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate you too.
For sure.
Have a good one.